And we're live. Hi everyone, my name is Michael Puggaard and I'm the CMO here at Tembi. I'm here together with Kristian.
Hello everyone. I'm excited to be here. Happy that you join us for this webinar.
Today we're gathered to talk about how to build data and AI driven organizations. My background is in advertising, but I also built several startups where we worked a lot with AI and building up organizations or a company where data is at center to help us make the right decisions. You, Kristian, on the other hand, has been a consultant for many years and you have more than 10 years of experience working within this industry. So why don't we start today off with you telling us a little bit about your background?
True. So as you mentioned, I've been working as a consultant for more than a decade. I've been working personally with analytics for about 20 years, but 10 years as managing partner in a consulting company called Damvad Analytics, where we work with some of the smallest companies that we have in Denmark, and we also work with some of the biggest ones globally that are like companies like the Boeing company, Google, Novo Nordisk, where actually we help them with either using external data or using analytical models or develop and build and implement machine learning models. So we actually did implement large language models that everybody knows today, like ChatGPT, within the insurance industry, put them in production back in 2017. So I've been working with this data science field for quite some years.
And what do you do today with Tembi?
So Tembi is one of the things that frustrated me a bit about being a consultant was that you needed to do things from scratch over and over again. And also from a customer perspective, I think it is expensive to do things every time. So either buy expensive consultants or deploy like tens or lots of people to work with analytics. So what we have built is we have built a platform where we gather many different data points from different data sources and analyze that with machine learning and AI and do predictions about the market and about potential customers and about current customers that the companies are not able to do themselves. And what we do is that we make that easily available to the end user so that they can start getting some insights here in just a few hours after they signed the contract. And that is the idea is to make it easy to work with analytics and AI from a technological perspective.
You touched on a very interesting topic here, and I think we can dive straight into the main topic of today, which is about how to build organizations around data and AI. And you talked about the fact that a lot of the initiatives working with consultants ends up being just an initiative. And what we'd like to talk about is your experience with how do you make sure that it's not just an initiative, but actually becomes an integral part of the organization. So where would you as a leader start if you want to change your company for being able to work with the new technologies?
Yeah, so throughout my work experience, I have identified 5 different success factors. And I think the first of those, and maybe, I don't know if it's the most important one, but it's a crucial one. That is that you're able as a leader or management to make a strategic goal around that you as an organization want to use analytics, AI or data to become successful as a company. That you're going to say as well that this is not going to go away. This is not something that we do just as an initiative, because then it's stuck. And then you have to make sure that you keep coming back to this as an organization. I've tried, just to give you an example, years back I worked with one of the largest insurance companies in Europe, and they actually had a team that worked with an initiative around using AI. And at some point we were in this steering committee, and the CEO asked them, why did nothing happen over the last year? And then they come up with all different sorts of small blockers that we couldn't sort this out, or there was a legal question mark over here, or we couldn't buy it's a GPU, it's very expensive, and compared to a company that has billions to work with, a GPU wasn't even back then very expensive. So and after this, the top management stepped in, they clearly cleared out these issues pretty fast and could start working. So this is just an example of you as a top management should step in, and you should be there, and you should make sure that these things, that all the challenges that you run into, that you overcome those.
Yes.
So I think that is the first thing. This is something that we're going to do, and we're going to do it together. And
state it very clearly. So not just a poster on the wall that you read in the cafeteria, or a cultural insight of how you want to drive a company, but actually stating clearly for everyone, we want to achieve this within the next year or a time frame. This becomes an important project. Yeah, that's true. And besides, it's a good that you mentioned this about that this should not just be a poster in the wall or a phrase in the strategy or something. I think the second thing that organizations need to do is to make sure that they actually do organize it. So who works with this? Who has the responsibility? Who's going to drive this through the organization and be accountable towards also the management in this domain? So having an organization where you identify the persons and also the teams. And I think the second thing is also to make sure that this is something that you want to fund centrally. Because if it's something that you put on like a team's P&L and they're measured on like can they get a profit this year, then they will only do the short-term things here. And this is something that you should, of course, hope to get short-term gains out of, but it is a long-term initiative that is going to change the way you work, the way you position yourself as an organization in the business landscape, in the market you're in. And therefore, putting like the toll on a few individual teams or leaders that would like work counterproductively towards becoming data or AI driven. So the first point is being that you need to have a clear goal by top management that this is something we're going to do. Second thing is you need to organize it. So naturally my question here is, how do you decide where to start off? Like in which part of the organization? Do you buy in software or do you actually build something from scratch?
Yeah. So about starting off, where in the organization should you start? I believe that you have to start where you can see the benefits from the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, because that is your ability to show to the rest of the organization that this is not just a new top management initiative. This is not just something that a PowerPoint consultant made up and then it will go away, look at all the challenges they're having. Let's stay out of this. No, we want to show that there is a benefit to begin with. And actually, in Tembi, we believe that prescriptive intelligence will be for everyone, every organization, and every business function. But we started off with business development and sales and key account management, and that is because that's a part of the organization where you can see pretty fast if there's an ROI or not.
Yes.
New clients or clients that don't leave you on these kind of things, or a better market position. So that is so identifying those core business benefits that you want to achieve, and that could be done in different ways strategically from the top management, and then start working with those, measuring those, and attaching the teams that work within this domain. I think that is pretty important. So the next thing here that you would then do is to make sure that you try to disseminate the results as fast as possible. And by disseminating the results, I mean that you should not only show what you did. You should actually make sure that other teams in the organization can become part of this. I've seen a few times that the one who was responsible for driving this forward either did not want to engage other teams, or did not know or think about engaging other teams, and sometimes this has run into becoming a blocker for them to become successful. And of course, if other teams that can gain the same or similar kind of business benefits from this. It could be, now I talked about sales, but think about that key account management might have the same impacts. It might be that the digital team or the marketing team can get some benefits from using prescriptive intelligence about your market or about your customers or whatever it is. then more people in the organization, you'll simply have a higher return on this investment. And second of all, in reality, you're also sharing costs, so the cost is going to be much less compared to what you get out of it. Thirdly, I think you will see that then the organization is able to start working with this as something where you have a common vocabulary, common language about this, and you build organizational skills and experience about how to succeed with this. If you disseminate this, as I would say, as fast as possible to other parts of the organization.
And of course, it depends on the project and what it is that as an organization you decide to do.
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree that from a perspective of ensuring that you drive the change management through an organization, you need to either use one project and be able to scale it to other parts of the organization, or be able to quickly find ways of funding new projects within those organizations, so it clearly becomes a top priority within the company.
Yeah, that's a good point. You also asked about should we do this ourselves, or should we buy this from the outside? And I think that depends a bit upon the scope of what you're trying to do. I think, of course, if this is something that is like a big scope for you, big thing, challenging thing to do, and that demands heavy investments, you have to make sure that it's either something that is benefiting you, the core of your business. It should be the core of your business to have analytics. It is part of your core product. And at the same time, you have to make sure that it is not like easily available outside of the organization. Like nobody would build their own ERP system today. Nobody would build their own CRM system either today, because you can see that other companies have developed and invested massively in doing this in a good way. Yes. So if you look at things that are difficult and crucial, at the same time, I would advise that you go out and you scout what is actually available in the market instead of just trying to do it yourself. That will simply easily becomes a big failure. And then I say, if it's something that is what you do, what your company is supposed to deliver, of course you should consider, shouldn't we do this ourselves or not? But not every company is one thing is to be an AI-driven or analytics-driven company. Another thing is to be an analytics company.
Yes.
And that is something different. And if you want to build it yourself, you also have to be an analytics company or have an analytics company within your own organization.
And the other part of it also, that you have to be very honest in terms of what are your internal capabilities. What is your data maturity within the company, right?
Yeah.
So have you been collecting data for a long period of time within the project that you're interested in going into? And I think that also sets the scope whether you should build your own product or whether you should buy a product in, because are you looking for external data, which means that you might need to be able to buy in a lot of data from third-party sources or a solution. Or if you have internal data, like for example, customer service, that you can utilize that data in order to, for example, train an LLM or train another type of solution or a chatbot or whatever that could be in that sense.
That's a really good point. So I think a fourth topic that companies that they would need to do to succeed with this is to make sure that they actually embed things in the daily routines in the company. And I think that now we talked about setting the goals, organizing it the right way, making sure that everybody sees and everybody that can get the benefit will get the benefit of doing this. You try to disseminate it in the organization. But I think that one of the reasons that a lot of these organizations that they use sometime you don't succeed with this is not just because of reluctance or because everybody in the organization don't want to. It is either they might not know how to, or they simply just do things the way they used to do it.
Yes.
And that is like a human thing to be, that we work with habits. We get up in the morning, we do things the way we used to do it, and it is actually kind of difficult to change these things. So to make sure to do this, it is important that the ones that are working with this, the teams and the middle managers or whatever it is that are responsible for driving this agenda forward, make sure to embed this in what they do on a daily or weekly basis. It should not be less than a weekly basis, and included in meetings or included in work processes. Getting back to it like we do with our own CRM system when we work with sales. Of course, we go in and we look at it, we use it actively,
yes.
Also in our sales commercial meetings and these things. Similarly, if you work with an AI service, whether you build it yourself or you bought it from the outside, you would have to make sure that you integrate it in what you do. And I think another thing that you can do in that process that I have mainly seen positive outcomes of is that you actually try to measure the outputs that you are having. So do we get more clients? And which ones come from this service
yes.
here? How do our market share develop over time? And so you connect it to the objectives that you identified and you say, what is it we want to make sure? What is our top priority goal here? And how do we measure this? And then you can actively follow through. And I think that as mentioned, we work a lot in sales, and we had an organization that could demonstrate within a few months that they had a 3,000% ROI of the investment in our service.
So you're talking about a client of Tembi.
A client of Tembi, yeah. And when you can prove that to the rest of the organization, nobody asks the questions about this anymore. Similarly, I worked with this before Tembi in a pension company, and that pension company, they launched a long development project where we as consultants were along, and after the first sprint that lasted like 2 weeks, we could actually document that that this sprint paid off for the rest of the project that was supposed to last 5 months. And of course, when you do this, you don't get the question anymore, is this a good or bad idea? And top management will not come around, and CFO will not come asking about the money. So
yes.
Because it actually pays off. And then you can see, if we could do this with this to begin with, what if we can do this, or what if we can do this? And I think, as I mentioned a few times, sales is a good, or commercial organizations are a good place to do this, because you can measure the impact, and they are like very incentive driven.
Yes.
So it's easy to see, okay, this is the way we used to do it, and these are the number of clients or the conversion rate or whatever it is. And this is what, if we do it with analytics and look at the results that we're getting here and comparing this. And I promise you, if it's the solution you are using is intelligent enough, all the salespeople will go towards the new solution. But you can do the same in HR, or you can do the same in whatever kind of thing you work with. You can say, do we, like people where we use this HR AI-driven service towards, do they stick around in the company longer? Do they thrive more? Do they perform better, or yes. whatever it is? And try to put some measures on this to make sure that you actually get the return that you're looking for when you do these investments.
And it's so important to find these quick wins in these type of projects, so that you can quickly, just to repeat a little bit what you say, but just to highlight that, the fact that you can spread the success and showcase this is something interesting and this is how we do it. And I also think it's so interesting from a top management perspective to find the right project managers for this type of project, because it's so important to set the right goals, to pick the right projects, and also find people that are willing to actually drive an inspiration throughout the organization. That can also educate others in how to use this and inspire them, saying, imagine opening up this for X or Y or Z in different organizations, just like we're talking about disseminating it through the organization, right?
Yeah, you're actually touching upon the fifth topic here, hinting towards that, and that is to make sure that you as a company embrace what we can call an adoptive mentality towards this. And this is because with a lot of other technological developments, this is not easy in the way that you can just put a check mark and then it's done. This is an area where the technological development and the innovation moves so fast.
Yes.
So next year new technologies, new possibilities open up, and you should be able to reap those to begin with. So you need to make sure that you have an innovative mindset and adaptive mentality where these possibilities are grasped, and you catch them and you work with them. So, and to do this, I think there are a few ways of doing it. One, and a few of them relate to what you can call classical change management here, and that is, I would say that you need to find the persons to begin with that are the ones that will run with the torch. These are the super users, the ones you just talked about, the ones that will like run forward and show this and make sure that this is going to be a success. And also a few more super users than just the project manager in this respect, the responsible for it, but somebody that are actually going to make sure that we are getting the benefits if we can do it fast. And that is number one. Number two, in adopting or embracing an adaptive mentality in the organization, is around making sure that you highlight and you celebrate the successes. So every win, of course, should be celebrated, and people should be promoted or put on stage if they succeed with some of these things to the rest of the organization, to show that this is the behavior, and also make sure that the risk takers in this new field, that they are actually getting a pat on the back. And then I think the third thing that many organizations are sometimes missing out on is getting back to this about ensuring that you have the right skills in the organization. Because sometimes you might not have people who either know how to do it or simply just drive this forward. And I've seen, for instance, we had a customer within the real estate industry where the management and the foot soldiers, so to speak, they were actually very much engaged within this area. But at some point, a middle manager came in and did not take this forward, and it became a blocker for them too, and it simply just slowed down the impacts that they could have. And I don't think that was because of not a will to do it, but this person might not have known how to handle this. So realizing this, it also means that you as a leader in this domain, you need to look at, does our organization have the skills and the people on board to do this? And then you will either have to upskill them, but I would say that you should also focus on hiring for this. So if you have a team where you need to drive data and analytics and AI forward, you would need to have a person in charge of this team, where when you hire for this person, these are one of the criteria that this person has the mentality to do this. And the mentality, I mean the innovative thinking, the risk taking, but also the ability to see it through. Yeah. Not necessarily having all the technical skills, him or herself, to do this, because other people can do this in the team or outside with vendors or whatever it is, but the ability to move forward with this. And that is crucial if you want to succeed as well. So the adaptive mentality is about identifying the super users, making sure to celebrate and show the successes along the way, and also to hire and make this a critical criteria that you look for when you hire and engage new people.
And what would be a recommendation in terms of, you mentioned that the technology is developing so fast, right? Just a little bit more than 20 years ago, internet started becoming a daily part of every single organization. We had the change with social media coming in, and then we started the last 15 years, we've been talking very much about becoming data-driven or building a data organization that captures everything that goes on everywhere. Now with AI coming in, and there's new ways of utilizing AI, new technologies coming up, how do you make the decision of not, it's a hard question maybe to answer, but building up something that becomes obsolete before it's even launched?
Yeah, that is a big risk if you work too slow, so to speak. So I think this is here where you should build on things that are developed in the community. Building big things from scratch where you don't use the libraries or the methodologies or the open source abilities or the external software vendors that handles part of the puzzle for you is a challenge. We see frequently organizations that want to do something, but they're still working on the data warehouse, and then a year later it's still important, but we are still working on the data warehouse or the IT system, and that is mind blowing if you ask me, because then 2 years or 3 or 4 years, that is in this environment where the pace is so fast here. I think that can simply kill you. So I think if back to the things we talked about before, most companies, they will need to work with data and analytics and AI. In our case, what we call prescriptive intelligence as well. They would need to work with these things to succeed, but they would not need to become analytics companies themselves.
Yes.
That is a difference here. Using and reaping the benefits is not the same as being an analytics company. That is something else.
Yes. So we're closing up on towards the end. Just one question, because you mentioned prescriptive intelligence a lot. I'm not sure prescriptive is a word that everybody understands in terms of on the analytical value escalator where it is. So maybe just a quick word. What is prescriptive analytics?
I'm not even sure that I know how that will play out on the longer horizon. But you can say that now that everybody knows about AI, I think there are 2 developments that we will see moving forward. One is what you call artificial general intelligence, and there's a lot of debate about whether that's going to happen or not. Computer mimicking the human brain. That is not the same as prescriptive intelligence, the space that we are in, because prescriptive intelligence is about identifying what are the objectives you need to reach as an organization to reach your goals. It could also be as an individual, and making sure that the analytics is helping you achieving those goals by either you can say proposing what to do, or make it very easy for yourself to know what to do if you want to make decisions, and or even sometimes help you do this automatically by making sure that it'll show you what are the markets that you're winning in and which segment should you go for, what product is best for you to succeed with, and assisting you on that. So prescriptive compared to predictive is that predictive looks into the future and can explain a bit about what might happen, but prescriptive is about making sure that you know what course to take, so to speak, after that. And that is a field that is evolving rapidly as well, and we will see evolving over the coming years. And we don't know exactly where it will end, but I think it will be something that everybody will know about as they know about AI today.
That's fascinating, and it's basically you need predictive to have prescriptive. And it's almost like opening up the possibility for simulating different actions based on both predictions and different types of data.
Yeah. Imagine that you had an agent that could say, you're doing this, but what about you? If you did this, that would actually help you achieve your goals.
Yes. All right, we're reaching the 30 minutes. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Kristian. And if you have any questions, we're going to put links towards both our LinkedIn profiles and also setting up our emails. So if you have any questions towards us, don't hesitate to email us. We will answer every single question you have. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.
Bye-bye.